In the dust and toss the gauntlet before the feet of tyranny. And I say segregation now, segregation tomorrow, and segregation forever. Let us send this message back to Washington by our representatives who are here with us today, that from this day we are standing up, and the heel of tyranny does not fit the neck of an upright man. That we intend to take the offensive and carry our fight for freedom across this nation, wielding the balance of power we know we possess in the Southland. That we, not the insipid bloc voters of some sections, will determine in the next election who shall sit in the White House of these United States.
Wow, that was certainly a mouthful. What is going on, stinky unicorns? Thank you for joining me, of course. And as I will always say, please do not be offended by my profanity, or do not be offended by my profane nature or the profane language as I use to describe the fuck shit of today, as well as the fuck shit of the past. And what you just heard was, of course, fuck shit of the past. And specifically, you heard George Wallace. And while I'm speaking of George Wallace, of course, I am not going to give him any due diligence or respect of his title. What he existed, what he stood for was the annihilation of my Black people and brown people and others that are not white. And so why in any sense should he get any respect from me whatsoever? And, for all those, who, you might be, let's say, you might be a descendant of George Wallace. I know he had kids. You might be a niece, you might be a nephew, you might have been a family friend, you might have had nice conversations with George Wallace. Matter of fact, you might have had one of your ancestors at that little stupid inaugural rally thing that you call whatever. And I just have two in one. It's actually a 2-in-1 term wish to say to George Wallace, dead and so, as well as those who supported George Wallace, and those who rode for him, and those who, more importantly, stood aside and watched and was okay with this outspoken, comfortable racist live. My 2-in-1 speech words are fuck you, and fuck you. Okay? Pretty much that's where it goes along the line. And but it's really funny how George Wallace really sparked something when this clip just randomly came to my head to show, which is the importance of voting. The importance of voting, especially 2020, how we cannot play with this election at all. And I know there's a lot of you who feel like, damn, like, oh, I am not trying to hear this. Like, politics is so boring. Politics is so complicated. At the end of the day, politicians do what the fuck they want to do, and shit doesn't change. In fact, shit gets worse. It gets stinkier, and that's just that. And you know what? To an extent, I can agree with you. I can understand. I can understand, especially with the trauma that has come along with voter suppression, and just feeling like shit, I don't even want to deal with it, and feeling like I got to pick between Republican and I have to pick between Democrat if I want the best choice to so-called win. Well, guess what, y'all? Guess what, stinky unicorns? We do not live, never have lived. I don't know what election you all are talking about where we ever had a candidate that was like, oh yeah, for all the people and by all the people on a consistent basis. Okay? That's never happened. We've always voted for the lesser of two evils. We've always voted in terms of not trying to get the candidate we don't want in. It's always been a negative vote situation. And yes, the president, we don't pick the president necessarily. The Electoral College does. And the Electoral College basically assigns like a number of representatives like per state, okay? Pretty much when we vote, it's pretty much like an indication to the Electoral College representatives, oh, this is how my state feels about, this person. I think I might go with this person. Or they may say, this is how my state feels about this person. I'm not going to go with this person. Pretty much that's it. That's just how it goes. Okay? And we see it pretty much we saw it really, those who were around. I mean, I was like 12, but back in 2000, right? Back in 2000, Al Gore lost the electoral vote to George W. Bush, whatever. And he lost the vote to George Bush basically by like this much, like a small ass margin, okay? And pretty much Bush won the popular vote in Florida. And because he lost to this small, of a margin, we had to do a whole recount. The Supreme Court caught the case. I believe it was called Bush versus Gore. And in the end, Bush basically won Florida by this much. And really the argument, and I agree, the argument has always, to me, at least I've gotten it, has always been, well, damn, like if, let's just say, I don't know, had 600 more pro-Gore voters, right? Actually gone to the polls and in Florida, okay, during November, we might have had an entirely different president. And we also saw it in 2016, how the Electoral College is stupid and how it works. So Donald Trump actually defeated Hillary Clinton in 2016 by securing a close, and it's so funny, it's so repetitive how these guys are like this. I don't know if that's like symbolic of something, but how it's like this, they get in like this, and even though the election basically came down to a handful of votes in one state, like basically Trump votes in the Electoral College basically was, a tight race. I guess that's what she said. But Clinton actually had won the national popular vote, and she actually won the national popular vote by I think 3 million. And but unfortunately, the concentration of Trump supporters that voted were unfortunately in what you call key districts or what you call swing states. And you saw them come out, I'm sorry, in places states like Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan. And basically these are examples, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan. Shout out to all those that live in the area. And I'm sorry that, unfortunately, I'm using your states as an example or as examples, but basically, those states are examples of help sealing the electoral votes to win the presidency. So y'all need to check your electoral representatives, just saying. So, I can understand, as far as not wanting to vote, how, your vote may not directly elect your president, but enough votes, and I know it's so cliche, but if enough of us come together, we could really fight and beat the beast of white supremacy and capitalism and all the isms. No, not really. Not really at all. But enough votes, whether it be from your district, whether it be from your county, it does matter. It does matter when it comes to electoral results. And most states have like what you call like a winner take all system where the popular vote winner gets the state's electoral votes. So I know it sounds really dumb, but that is the system that we live in. And, you know, unless you're going to be like Malcolm X, either take up the ballot or take up the bullet and burn the shit down. But if you are not in the position to throw the first rock at the White House, or if you are not in a position to so-called start a revolution, burn this shit down and start all over again, then let's just take this in mind. So three things when you don't vote. So when you don't vote, especially in this 2020 election, basically you're making it easier for the grandchildren or the great-grandchildren or the unfortunate descendants of the people at the 1963 rally and George Wallace. You're making it easier. You're making it easier for them to vote and for them to vote in people that think and look and sound like them. I'm sorry. Donald Trump. So you can make it more, in this case, in 2020, you could actually make it more difficult for Biden, for the Biden administration, for Biden and Harris to actually win. So when you don't cast your ballot, right, you basically say, okay, well, my vote is over there, it's non-existent, but all these other votes and all these other votes that are basically for the annihilation of my identity, yeah, those are being counted. Just saying. So when you don't vote, you're essentially relying. You're essentially relying. If you could just get this in your soul, you are essentially relying on other people to support your candidate. In this case, you are relying 2020 on all of us, making sure that Donald Trump and his baby Nazis of his administration do not continue their fuck shit of work that they have been doing. Okay? So that's another thing too. Voting also is your constitutional right. Right now, I'm using my constitutional right of freedom of speech. It's a constitutional right that is in this United States of Americas, okay, that allows me for my voice and your voices to be heard. In the same way when it comes to voting. Voting is basically a cliche way for the Electoral College to hear your voice be heard. Now, of course, we hear, oh, well, I don't want to vote, Republican or Democrat because, they're just the worst candidates. And, I would be voting negatively against someone rather than a candidate of my choice. And it actually depends on the scenario. And in this case, the scenario definitely is in 2020. Yes, we are voting a negative vote. We do not want Donald Trump and his baby Nazi administration to continue working, okay, for us. For this upcoming election, any vote for any presidential candidate that is not affiliated with, unfortunately, Trump or Biden, basically is considered wasted. It's considered wasted. It's considered annoying. It's just whatever. And that's what we don't want. This is not the election to be like, oh, let's all vote. If we were all collectively voting together, like, oh, bet we are going to vote for a Green Party candidate, then fine. If we were all on the same page in knowing the Green Party candidate and knowing where a Green Party candidate or a candidate outside of the Republican or Democratic Party stands, 2020 election is not the election to just be like, oh, I'm going to write in a candidate, or, oh, I'm going to vote another candidate. You want to get this orange pickled mayonnaise jar out of office. That's what you want to do. And when you don't vote, essentially, yes, you are not picking the president, but what you're doing is making it easier for other fuckshit people, especially fuckshit people with money, to get in. That's all I'm saying. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say I am enthusiastically voting for Biden and Trump, knowing Biden supported the 1994 criminal bill, which basically spearheaded a bunch of just mass incarceration, period, particularly for Black people, and also made it easier to build prisons. And when you build more prisons, you could lengthen more sentences and sentencing. And, you know, as a result, it just wasn't a good look. It wasn't a good look, obviously, too, for Hillary. It wasn't a good look for her husband either. So fast forward, I think 2018, 2019, or maybe even this year, when Biden is still asked about, so the shit that happened in 1994 with you supporting a bill that did not benefit, more so hurt the Black community. It's like, I mean, I supported it. Like, I think it's fine. Yeah, I have a problem with that. Yes, I do have a problem with that. I also have a problem with Harris as far as her record when it comes to her questionable record of anti-truancy laws and how, how sis at one point was not for marijuana. Like, no, even though her marijuana policies and thoughts have evolved, I will give that to her. No, I was not feeling her past of, wasn't feeling it. And, now when we think about right now, how Congress, how we have an administration that has created a situation where now Congress basically gets to decide on if they can provide more funding, more stimulus funding for individuals, for me and you and businesses. And it's just so funny because I don't see how Trump supporters do not see the direct failure of the Trump administration taking the coronavirus seriously and also creating an atmosphere where we have inadequate and delayed testing, basically causing a whole public health deal. So when you don't vote, you are ensuring that we are going to continue to be in a public health crisis. We are going to continue to be in a public health crisis when administration feels that, oh, it's perfectly okay for 20% of our country to be unemployed due to this damn virus. And it's perfectly okay that our country suffers the highest death toll. We suffer supposedly the highest death toll in the world when it comes to this virus. When you don't vote, you are voting. You are ultimately voting for an administration, for a piece of shit, for garbage. You are voting for baby Nazis. And I'll keep saying it again. You are voting for a group of people that basically downplayed this coronavirus this entire time. And now look, your boy has it. So I have my absentee ballot, y'all. I have my absentee ballot. I am ready to go as soon as will probably, tomorrow. But yeah, I got my absentee ballot. I'm not going to sit here and tell you to vote. I'm going to sit here and tell you to vote if you can. And if you can vote, Do not waste your vote and write in stupid shit. Do not write in Kanye. Do not sit there and be like, but like Trump, like what? What does Trump do? All you know is he has downplayed the very virus that has basically did the most with everybody's lives, regardless if you voted for him or not. But if you are going to vote for him 2020, like I said, please, please, please fall down some stairs, break something. I have no time for you. But I need you, if you can vote, if you are legally can vote, get your absentee ballot if your state allows it to. It was easy. I ordered mine. And do it. Just do it. Let's vote 2020. Yes. And
Nakaya,
yes, Nana.
what are you doing down there?
I'm recording.
Did you mail in my vote yet? I asked you to do that this morning. I did not ask you what you were doing. I asked you if you mailed in my vote. I need you to get up here now and mail in my vote. It is important. It's 2020.
Yeah.
We've got work to do.
Go.
Get off that book face
make sure you vote.
and all that card cast that you're doing. I need you to stop what you're doing and get Nakaya, I swear, now.